We will try to summarize Darwin's ideas of how species of living things can change over time in a few short slides. In 1831, 22-year-old Charles Darwin was hired on as the ship's naturalist of the HMS Beagle ship to travel around the world on a 5-year journey beginning in England. He filled many journals with notes about the rocks, fossils, and living things he saw. He also collected many specimens to be brought back. One of the places he visited, the Galapagos Islands, had a great impression on him for many years. When Darwin visited the Galapagos Islands, he noticed each island had differences. Some islands were rocky and dry, and some had better soil and moisture. The shells of the giant tortoises were different on each island, as were the beaks of the finch birds. The tortoise with a peak in the front of its shell can reach its neck high up to reach cacti to eat where it lives. When Darwin returned to England, he spent a lot of time thinking about the evidence he saw that living things change over time. He developed an idea that he published in a book called The Origin of Species to explain how evolution might occur. Let's look at his idea. This phylogenetic tree should look familiar. Living things have more offspring than what survive. For example, a fish lay more eggs to ensure that not all their eggs get eaten by predators. Or not all dandelion seeds find a good place to grow. Mice have many babies to ensure some survive when they're eaten by hawks or fox. There is inherited variation or differences within a species. Individuals within a species have variation in traits they have inherited from their parents. Look at how different all these dogs look. They're all one species, dog. All the different breeds of dogs are the same species and they can interbreed or have babies with each other. The shells of these mollusks show variation in their stripes and colors. Some deer are faster than others. Some lions have larger canine teeth. Some maple trees have leaves with bigger surface area to catch more sunlight. There is competition within a species for limited resources. For example, trees competing for sunlight or deer competing for a female deer. There's a limited amount of resources available for living things such as water, food, space, sunlight, and mates. So, if there are not enough resources, living things will have to struggle or compete to get those limited resources. Those that have inherited variations that give them an advantage will be more successful at surviving. Like we saw, those brown mice were better at surviving because they could hide from their predators. Environments change over time. We can see evidence that the environments on Earth have changed over time. We see fossils of seashells on top of mountains. Earthquakes can raise up land above sea level. We see fossils of tropical plants in desert areas and fossils of Ice Age mammals right here in Michigan. Currently, we live in an oak hickory forest type. 15,000 years ago, we had an ice age in Michigan, and 350 million years ago, there was a sea covering an area that formed our limestone rocks with fossils and seashells. Those living things that have inherited traits that help them survive and reproduce or have babies are better at competing for limited resources. Giraffes with longer necks can reach higher in the foods for leaves to eat. Faster cheetahs can catch gazelles for food.